Welcome. This is a poem called The Temple of Silence, and I'll do a brief discussion, maybe delve into some of the stanzas here and explain what's going on. Of course, poetry isn't necessarily meant to be intellectually understood, especially on the first read through. It's words that are strung together in a certain way with a certain meter and a rhyming scheme that lulls the mind into a bit of a rest. And then what's being spoken of can kind of slip in through the back door without the mind analyzing it so much. But sometimes it's helpful to hear an analysis. So this is called The Temple of Silence, one of my favorites. Space enough for all, but room for only one. No doors, roof, or walls, open to the sun. Directions will not be found and cannot be written down, though access may be gained by innocence untrained. Allow everything to be as it is and come to see. To enter there is no cost, nothing of value could be lost. No need to imagine or create or hold a desired state, not avoiding what is here. What remains is crystal clear. Noise and laughter still erupt, but never could corrupt. Silence prior to all sound, the fundamental ground. Observe movements of the mind without the need to take a ride. All are granted refuge here, and in this temple disappear. So the succinctness, the brevity of each stanza, it packs in quite a bit. And these pointers that point toward silence, truth, awareness, consciousness, may or may not be recognized or understood at this moment. And so I'll go through each one and shed a bit of light. Or maybe you're just here to enjoy. If the audience right now is comprised of only skeptics, that's wonderful. Because being skeptical about something is not to hold a position about it. It's to say, well, I'm not sure. And then one can investigate. If one is certain about something, it means that it's difficult to sway them from their position. Not that I'm here to sway anyone. Not that I'm here to teach anything. Not that I'm here to prescribe any particular method or path. No. This is not about acquisition or collection. It's about truth. And truth is what remains when everything else is removed. So the first stanza, space enough for all, but room for only one. So this speaks to the fact that there are many appearances, the 10,000 things, the 8 billion bodies, the countless objects that appear. Space enough for all, but room for only one. That one is consciousness, awareness, existence, God, if you like. Room for only one, not two. Advaita, non-duality. There aren't two beings here. No doors, roof, or walls. How many spaces are there in the universe? There's one space, apparently. If we delve into that one, that's a whole other video. But, there's no doors, roof, or walls here. There's an apparent chopping up of space in this room with walls, but it doesn't affect the space whatsoever. If these walls stand for 1,000 years and curtains hide the light, in one fell swoop, if that room is demolished, the space is unaffected. It doesn't take it some time for it to adjust to the light. And that space is what we are. Never really chopped up into small pieces, never really separate. One seamless whole, open to the sun. So what we are is boundless without border. Next stanza, directions will not be found and cannot be written down, though access may be gained by innocence untrained. We'll start at the end of this one. Innocence untrained, like a child that doesn't have concepts of what this is and what that is and what I think of this and what's right and what's wrong. There's only experience. Innocence untrained. So directions will not be found. There are no directions because there is nowhere to go. And that's not I'm not turning all Neo-Advaita here, although that does make sense. Directions will not be found. You are that. You're already there. There's no distance to travel. There seems to be a journey that may take place. But this body is a measuring device. It sees, it hears, it tastes, it touches, it smells. It appears to think. It appears to do these things. But it's really just an inert object that experience flows through and reports to consciousness. So there's no thinker, no smeller, no toucher, no taster, no feeler. There's only consciousness localizing itself here so that it can experience itself in this particular perspective, from this particular perspective, and report to itself. Consciousness is insatiably curious. I know that we can't say there's attributes to this, but it must be insatiably curious because this investigation is all consuming. Once one recognizes, oh, mistaken identity. I thought I was this, but I'm that. Once one recognizes that and has a taste or a glimpse, then the investigation just continues. And as Rumi said, flow down and down and down in ever-widening rings of being. That's what's going on. There's no end to this. So if someone gives a prescription, directions will not be found and cannot be written down. You know, they may point, they may say, yeah, you go up the hill, turn left, and when you see the yellow sign, go another kilometer, and you will have arrived. They're pointing in a direction and they're giving some kind of roadmap, as it were, but you have to take the journey. At best, one who is speaking is the travel guide, I guess you'd say, or more accurately, the travel agent. They show you pictures and say, oh, look at, you'd love this place. I know you would. Why don't we book you a trip there? But you need to go on that trip. You need to experience for yourself. So that it becomes true for you, so that it becomes your experience. You can look at people's vacation pictures all day long. But unless you go there yourself, it's not the same. Allow everything to be as it is and come to see. To enter there is no cost. Nothing of value could be lost. So this, allowing it to be as it is, and come to see. See with the clear sight of not analyzing or judging or wishing or hoping or wanting things to be different. No. What's here when I don't apply any of that? Allow everything to be as it is and come to see. To enter, there is no cost. It seems like there's a lot to give up here. It seems like I'm giving up my identity, who I am, my history. I worked really hard to get here. All my successes, you want me to let those go? Yeah. They don't go anywhere, though. We just don't identify with them anymore. They don't tell us who we are. You still play the role. You still have the degree on the wall. You still have the diploma. You still have the trophies or whatever. But they don't tell you who you are anymore. Nothing of value can be lost. What's lost in order to enter this temple of silence, what's let go of, is that idea of who you think you are. We can't think about who we are in our essence. We don't lose anything except really ignorance of the mistaken identity that we've believed ourselves to be, which has been constructed over years. And it's heavy. That identity's heavy. It's like the monkey on your back that you're carrying, and it gets heavier and heavier the more that we collect. And then we need to defend that. When somebody threatens that identity, we need to rise up and defend it. And when that identity is somehow challenged and maybe diminished because of what Walter did, it's painful. So then who am I without that identity? Without that identity, we sit in the temple of silence and we come to know who and what we are. No need to imagine or create or hold a desired state. Imagination doesn't factor into this unvarnished moment as it is. We don't need to create anything. We don't have to hold a state. I feel good, positive thinking. Nothing wrong with affirmations, but they're for the person. What you are, what I am, the same one, is not a state of mind that you reach through this or that practice. No, it's prior to states. It holds all states. It holds sadness. It holds happiness. It holds joy. It holds depression. The fundamental ground, which I'll get to here. Not avoiding what is here, what remains is crystal clear. So if there is a challenging situation, what one might call a problem or a crisis, we don't avoid that. We're not hiding in our spirituality by Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, and peeking to see if it's still there. Oh, it's still there. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. No, we sit in the middle of it without judging it and not getting lost in the hoping and wishing it were different or wanting it to stay. Oh, I feel so good. Please don't ever leave. Where did it go? Oh, no. What remains is what you are, and to not pick anything up and apply it, create another identity of the one who found it or the one who lost it. No, it's always present. It. What can we say about that? Peace, joy, contentment, the fragrance coming through from the flower that you are. Noise and laughter still erupt, but never could corrupt. Silence prior to all sound, the fundamental ground. Noise and laughter still erupt. So silence, true silence, isn't the absence of sound. True silence is what holds the absence of sound or noise or laughter or a jackhammer outside your door or a barking dog or a beautiful song. Silence is not affected by any of these things. It holds all these things. What we are allows for this, the clear light, the clear space, the seeing. Silence prior to all sound, the fundamental ground, the primitive, the lowest common denominator. What remains when we remove everything is what we are. So if we are feeling to sit and close our eyes and rest as this, maybe call it meditation if you wish, and all of a sudden that dog next door starts barking. That silence that you were enjoying is unaffected by the barking dog. What's affected is the person, is the mind, which is judging and saying, that's not allowed. It's supposed to be quiet. And so to observe that thought, maybe that starburst of irritation that's coming up, and to remain as you are, is to eventually be okay with all of that, to recognize that one need not be in any particular environment in order to be who they are, to be that silence and stillness. And establishing and anchoring oneself, so to speak, as that. Really, it's just being knowingly who you are. Then the world presents it as it does. And we don't need to necessarily get involved by applying a filter on there and saying this is good or this is bad. Doesn't mean we don't take action. Actions will arise. Even irritation will arise, and that's okay because we're just watching it. And everything that comes goes. We recognize that. That dog that's barking wasn't barking a moment ago, and now it is, and eventually it will stop. We're okay. Now, it may be that you have to take action about that or anything else. It doesn't mean you eat the soup with the fly in it because you are so spiritual. No, you send the soup back and get another one politely, because these things happen, not personal. Observe movements of the mind without the need to take a ride. All are granted refuge here, and in this temple disappear. So I've spoken of that already. Observe the movements of the mind. Observe the irritation when you hear the barking dog. Without the need to take a ride. Don't get hooked on that. Space comes between that arising thought and the observation of it. And again, irritation or anger can arise, frustration, but we observe that. And it may be that we take action born of these things. It may even appear that this one is angry. And yet something is watching from a deeper place. And this body is moving, doing whatever. And it's not an excuse so that we can get angry with our neighbor because of their dog. No. When you're informed by that deeper place, then the most compassionate response comes through. I shouldn't necessarily say the most compassionate. It may not appear as the most compassionate, but it's the most appropriate. when one is established and allows who they are to inform the worldly words and deeds. And then there's no judgment about that afterward, because judgment is for the person. And we're not that solely. All are granted refuge here, and in this temple disappear. So it doesn't matter what one believes or what one subscribes to, or the dogma or the rituals or their behaviors. All are granted refuge here. Should one wish to explore and find this temple within themselves, this temple of silence, they will be granted refuge. None are rebuffed. The only one that could keep you from entering and disappearing is the one who you think you are. Oh, I can't get this. My mind's too crazy. I can't do this. That's the one. Or that voice might come like, oh, you've got it. Ah, you're enlightened. That one prevents as well. And to disappear means to have that energy of me rest. And then that energy of me may come back up again, and it may come down. It may move about, but it's seen. It's seen from a deeper place. So I'll post the link to this poem. You can hear me read it again. You can read along with it or just read it on my website, beingwalter.com. Again, no cost for any of this, just as a service out of love.